Two other extensions that I had on the original Joomla 1.5 site were Joom Donation and EventBooking. These are both from the same developer. So just Google Joom Donation and you'll find joomdonation.com. We're going to look at his components, and I'm going to do Joom Donation first. I'm looking at the documentation, and again, check through the developer's documentation. There almost always will be instructions about upgrading and or migrating. Two separate things. Old version to new version is just that with internal database structures need to be changed. We're just updating to the more recent version of the software. A migration is when database changes need to be made. So here we have his instructions for migrating the data from the old site to the new site. Usually happens when you want to upgrade from the old version of Joomla to the latest, or to move from one place to another. His instructions are brief, but they're very similar. We're going to go use phpMyAdmin, and we're going to export all the Joom donation related tables. They all have a JD prefix. Then he tells us to open up that SQL file. Use find and replace of the text editor to replace the table prefix so that it matches the new table prefix for the new site. Having modified the SQL file, we'll then import those database tables, and we're ready to install Joom Donation and proceed. So in the case of Ignite Gallery, there were only 3 tables. We just downloaded this SQL file, uploaded the SQL file, and then did the renaming within phpMyAdmin. Joom Donation involves many more tables. Consequently, it'll be better to use a find and replace function of a text editor to just modify this SQL file before we import those. So, back to our cPanel, back to our phpMyAdmin, and I need to be in my old site. Make sure that the database displayed at the top of the phpMyAdmin screen is the one that you're wanting to be working with. And we're going to export any tables that start off with a JD, so it'll be JOS _ JD. So we have from here to here. That was the shift key that allowed me to say from here to here. And we're going to export that as an SQL file. Go. Save the file. And then using any kind of text editor, I'm going to come back to my text wrangler that I like. I'm going to open up that file from my downloads. And I see that there's lots of commands. We have hundreds of lines of code here. So we're looking for anything that has this JOS, JOS _ prefix. I'm just going to copy that, find it under search, paste that in, and choose to replace it. Do we remember? NV1MP _. So we're replacing it with the table prefix for our new website. Replace all. And there they are. It's done. NV1MP, NV1MP, etc., etc. So now I just need to save that. We're going to go back into cPanel. And access the new database. Click on the name of it here in the left, make sure it shows up in the top, and then run your import to browse for that file. And now we want to scroll down and see if those tables made it in. NV1MP JD. So there are all of our Joomla donation tables. And the next step after the tables were migrated into the database, then we can go and install this software. So browse for the file that I downloaded. It came as a zip file that needed to be unzipped. I'm looking for the Joomla 2.53 package, and I'm looking for the component. So now we have our Joom donation. We should be able to see that we have brought over from the old site, we've brought over information about the donations that have been made. We've migrated all of that information into the site and can proceed to use this to create other forms or other campaigns and proceed with our donation. Our online donation form is operational because the component has been installed that goes with it. So the event booking, the register online required the component event booking, and we haven't done that yet, but the instructions from Joom donation are the same. I'm not going to make you watch all of that again, but many of these third-party extensions will have instructions for you that involve migrating the database manually and then installing the third-party extension. The fourth extension that this site had was the RS Form Pro, and it was a simple registration form, and I think we don't need those registrations carried over or brought into the site for the next year's event. I'm going to simply install it from scratch and build a new registration form from scratch. So this is the end of the section about third-party extensions. We saw Ignite Gallery, we saw Joom donation, event booking would be the same, using a text editor to change those database prefixes.